Hi everyone, and thanks again for joining us. Believe it or not, this is my 8th time hosting Beat the Odds as the Executive Director of Stand for Children. When I started in 2014, I spoke to the audience at the zoo about my personal journey to the podium that day. I talked about growing up with a mom who worked 3 jobs just to keep us clothed and fed. I spoke about the high school guidance counselor who, despite my being poor and black, helped set me on a path that led to a college degree and that forever changed the course of my life. As I stood on the stage that day, I remember desperately wanting to figure out how to use every resource that Stand had to create a system that gives all of our children, particularly those left behind because of their race or family's income, the tools to graduate and to have a life that has options. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I was shaking nervous at the time, and I really had no idea how we would do any of that. But I had hope, and many of you came back year after year to help us on this journey. Well, tonight I can say with confidence and with data that our work has put thousands of children on the path that I just described. Since my first time hosting Beat the Odds, we've put over $750 million into high schools across the state with Measure 98 funds. And those resources have led to a 40% increase in career-related programs offered throughout the state. And most importantly, we've seen a 6-point increase in graduation rates, with students of color and low-income students making the biggest gains. Oregon went from a 76% graduation rate before Measure 98 to an 82.5% rate in just a few years. That difference equates to 2,000 additional students. That's 2,000 more students who walked across the stage, even if it was a virtual stage. 2,000 more students are on a different path today because of the work we've done together. That is incredible. I am blown away by these numbers, and I continue to be blown away by the support that you give to make those numbers possible. Needless to say, I'm a little less nervous these days than I was back then, and that's because I know you all are standing right here with me as we do this work together. Now, the last time we got together, we talked about a number of things that I had hoped we would accomplish during the 2021 legislative session. And let me tell you, we've had a very busy year. We passed a new law that helped maintain the effort that many districts are making to diversify their teaching staff. So many districts across our state have been working really hard to find and hire diverse teachers so that our children can have educators that reflect their lived experiences. And with only 10% of our teachers being culturally or linguistically diverse compared to 40% of our students, we have a long way to go before we reach parity. We also had an old law on the books that required districts to start with their most recent hires in the event of layoffs, leaving too many of these diverse teachers completely unprotected. Now, thanks to the amazing leadership of Tina Kotek, the Oregon House Speaker, Oregon has a new law on the books so that diverse teachers are no longer disproportionately impacted by layoffs. This new law is the first of its kind and has the potential to serve as a model for many other states. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your work. We also passed legislation that will remove fees imposed throughout our youth justice system. Previously, kids and their families were charged for fees for things like paying for their own mental health evaluation or for counseling services, or even paying for their own probation officer. These fees were mostly levied on Black and brown families and caused undue financial and emotional stress on them. This new law eliminates those fees and will apply retroactively, removing a massive burden that too many Oregon families had that kept them from thriving. I'd like to take a moment and thank Stand for Children volunteer Siobhan Cancel for sharing her impactful testimony on this issue with the legislature. Siobhan's story was picked up by the Seattle Times and Vice Media and dozens of other news outlets across the country because it was just that powerful. Her story really turned the tide for passing this piece of legislation. And it also proves how critical each of you are in doing this work. In fact, y'all were on fire this year. You all were instrumental in showing lawmakers just how much the Stand for Children community cares about these issues. Between January and July of this year, y'all sent more than 35,000 emails to legislators. That is a lot of emails. Y'all submitted testimony to the right committees and at the right times to help move our agenda forward. And you all shared our blog posts and all of my op-eds on social media to amplify the importance and the urgency of making our systems more racially just and equitable. And if that wasn't enough, you helped us elect more than 40 school board members to districts across the state. These members better reflect the values and the needs of the communities they are elected to serve. I'll give you one quick example to show you why representation really matters. We elected a slate of candidates in the Salem-Keizer School District who already are changing the dynamics of that district. In a recent 4-2 votes, the 4 candidates that we helped elect voted yes on a resolution to renew the board's commitment to equity and anti-racism. Now, that might not sound like a big thing, it might sound like a simple thing, but when you compare that to a year and a half ago, when a member of that same board showed up in blackface to a school board meeting, it is a night and day difference. The new board's commitment to equity acknowledges the experience of students of color and will ensure they feel welcome and seen and safe. As I wrap up this year's remarks, I'll just say that I could not have imagined how far we would travel together when I stood on the stage for the first time. And all these years later, I still wake up every day excited to be on this journey with y'all. Thank you so much for your support year after year, and thank you for standing with us.